All right, we're preparing for catheterization. So in my basket I have 3 syringes, 3 milliliter syringes with 22 gauge needles attached that I'll need for preparing flush. I have a T-connection set which has injection ports on it, and you'll notice that it has 1 injection port and then 1 just lower slip tip on it. This is not an injection port, it's a plastic cap. So I will also need a male adapter I'm going to replace onto the T-connection set, and the size catheters that I'm going to need for my patient. First thing I'll do is prep flush, and we're going to be prepping flush from our bottle or bag of fluid, in this case lactator ringers. Make sure that your needle is twisted on and attached. The factory often doesn't do that properly, so give it a good twist. A quarter turn if it's a slip tip. In the case of a lower twist tip like this one, then just make sure it's securely twisted into place. And come into your accessory injection port here, and you need 3 milliliters. Volume is not as important in this case. 3 milliliters is just nice to have. You're usually needing it. And make sure you get rid of any air in the syringe. 3 milliliters. One-handed recap technique. Pull the cap down. Don't push it on for safety. And now I can label it, and you have 2 choices here. You can use 1/2-inch tape and label it like you would label your medications. The technique that I like to use is Sharpie on the end of the plunger with a big F to denote flush. That's very clear and differentiates flush very readily from medications. So I'll do 3 of those. And then once I have those 3, I'm going to prepare my T-port connection set. I need to flush it. So I'll take off the cap side and replace it with the male end adapter. This should be capped so that it remains sterile in the process. I've got to keep both of these ends sterile as I uncap things. So twist off each cap, making sure that nothing touches the ends that need to remain sterile. That one's on really tight. And then connect by twisting together. I'm injecting flush into this port because this port contains air, and if I inject medication in behind the air, then I'm going to be giving air into the vein. So to avoid that, I'm going to instill flush into the entire portion of this T-connection set. I'm going to inject into the end that's straight, so that's the male end adapter that I've attached. If I inject into this T-connection set here, this way, then the fluid will take the path of least resistance, which is straight out the back, and I won't end up with fluid in this line. Insert the needle straight in, all the way in, and flush until fluid comes out of the other end. You can see it dripping there, and ensuring that there are no breaks of air or bubbles in this T-connection set. Place that back onto a clean surface. Now I'm going to prepare tape for my catheter. After I clamp my T-connection set, there's your clamp. That will prevent the fluid from leaking out as you're storing it. There we go. All right. So I like 1-inch tape for most dogs. Small dogs and cats, 1/2-inch tape is fine. 1-inch tape tabbed on one end, long enough to securely go around your patient's limb 2 times minimum. Your first piece of tape is going to be torn in half, about 2 inches, or sorry, 1 inch down, and then taped, one side taped back onto itself. The saying is that we don't care how you tape in your catheter, we care that it stays in. This is the method that WSU teaches, so my suggestion is do this method, because I know it'll stay in. The next piece of tape is the same length, and about 1 inch down one end, you're going to tear across about 1/3 of the way into this tape. Now I'll prepare my catheter. So these are the 2 minimum pieces that you'll need to secure your catheter into place. You'll need more tape eventually. We'll get there when we do the catheterization process. To prepare my catheter, I'm going to carefully remove the catheter from its package and ensure that there's no sticky parts. And so instead of sliding the catheter forward off the stylet, which could cause burring or catching of the catheter on the end of the needle there and cause it to tear, I'm going to just twist the catheter portion on the stylet body like that. The other thing I'll do is loosen this temporary cap at the end. They're often attached very tightly from the factory. In this case, that is absolutely true. There it goes. And I'm not going to remove it, but I'm just going to loosen it and have it loosely in place. This will serve as a temporary cap once I have my catheter in place. I can cap it off, get 1 layer of tape on to secure the catheter in place, and then worry about attaching my T-port once I have tape in place. The thing I want to point out when we catheterize is you'll notice that the stylet tip is longer than the body of the catheter itself. So when I push this forward, you'll see that the catheter is actually quite a bit shorter than the stylet needle there. And that's something that we need to keep in mind when we're catheterizing. You can flush this catheter if you prefer. It's not necessary to flush the catheter. And I typically don't. All right, let's pause there.